Hello, I'm Carol DeChaine and welcome. I'm your intuitive spiritual guide for practical matters. This whole month I've been talking about freedom. First it was freedom from judgment, and then freedom from fear, freedom from guilt. And today, something that I feel the most is freedom from frustration. Frustration can come from a number of different things. Frustration has a little bit of anger in it. It has impatience in it for sure, because something isn't happening the way we want it to. And patience is required when you're waiting on something to happen the way you want it to. Maybe it's taking too long. Maybe it's something that isn't happening or has not happened, or it's people being too slow or not reacting the way you want to or coming up to your expectations. So we have some frustration there. I know my sister has some dementia, and so I get a lot of frustration with her because I can't figure out how to talk to her so she can remember what I'm talking about. And it's just getting worse as things do. And so trying to get through leads me to have frustration, which then leads me to say things and act out with my frustration, which is not getting anybody anywhere. It's not helping me. It's not helping her because she feels bad that she can't get what I'm trying to say. And so frustration is the thing that I'm trying to work my way through. Having patience with people, I can do thousand-piece jigsaw puzzles, but having patience with people is one of the things I need to learn in this lifetime. It's something that frustration can build up with people, with things that maybe you can't do that jigsaw puzzle and it's bothering you. That job isn't working out the way you wanted it to. The parts aren't falling into place. People aren't cooperating. You can get frustration from many, many different things. Even your spouse who doesn't do what they say they're going to do can drive you crazy. It can be a frustration, which the problem with frustration is that it can start out really tiny and it gets bigger and bigger when things keep going wrong. And it's that last straw thing suddenly where all of a sudden you react in a ridiculously overblown way for something even small. Something that you're going, why are you doing this? And they're going, what? Why? And you go on and on sometimes because you get that frustration and it builds up. And there's enough anger in there to have that pow with impatience and that frustration. It's there. It just underlies it and it gets you all worked up. Instead of having that peace, that frustration just boils up and out at sometimes rather inopportune times with your boss, with your coworkers, with your neighbors, with your children, with my sister, unfortunately, with parents, with neighbor, like I said, neighbors, with especially with spouses. Things happen. We get impatient. But if we let that kernel, even of a tiny impatience, get bigger and bigger and bigger, it can blow up. And unfortunately, that's when things are said, things are done that we don't want. So obviously, frustration, and I can tell you in 3 minutes, is not your favorite thing to have, having been a not so close friend of frustration all my life. Impatience, all part of frustration. So, what do you do? How do you have freedom from it? Well, first, you need to breathe. To be honest, take a step back, hopefully, and not into the fray, and breathe through it. Go, okay, is this important to me? Is this something I really need to get that upset about, that I need to worry about, that I need to get frustrated about? And sometimes it's like, no, this is not important enough. I'm going to breathe through it and say, it's not important. Frustration doesn't always go away that simply. If you catch it early, it can. But if you let it build and build, you need to find a way to get to somebody, to joke somebody into a shift, to do whatever you need to do to get it out of your being or shift yourself somehow. Find more peace, find more patience, find more that you care about the other person enough so that you're not going to be frustrated with them. Know they're doing the best they can, may or may not help, because it's about you and where you're at. Where are you with this frustration? I find breathing and meditating on something is good, but I have to do it right that minute because the frustration mounts and explodes at the improper time, then sometimes the meditation is great if it's been building for a while and I'm aware of it. But really, taking a moment, stepping back, seeing it from a third party perspective, and breathing through it is helpful. Because sometimes those third parties will tell you, "Why are you so frustrated? Be nicer." And you'll go, "Sorry, I can't help it. I'm so frustrated." And they say, "Yeah, stop it." What do you mean, stop it? I'm frustrated, okay? It's okay. Frustration is normal. But bursting out and being upset about something is not. So if you throw something across the room or break something because you're so frustrated, it's time to stop. It's time to figure out, what is it about this thing that's frustrating me? If it's the way the other person's reacting, the way that they're doing something or not doing something, then either you need to not have those people in your life or you need to find a way to deal with it. And the dealing with it may be looking back and saying, hey, how important is this to me? Why is this bothering me? Is this something that it's like a promise they made they're not doing? Then you need to have a chat with the person and say, look, this is very important to me. I know it may seem silly to you, but this harkens back to the fact that when somebody made this promise to me in the past, they didn't keep them. And when you don't keep your promises, that's what it feels like. And that's why I get frustrated and why it ends up hurting me. Why, whatever. This is just a scenario I came up with. But if you look at what causes the frustration, if it's consistently the same pattern, if it's a person all the time, the same person all the time, what are they doing? What is it about them that's causing you that frustration? Can they help it? Or is that just the way they are? Because, like with my sister, when I said I was frustrated, she can't help it. I'm just frustrated anyway because I can't get an idea through to her for her to remember. So sometimes I try different things. I try different ways of putting it. I try humor. I try different things. And finally, I'll get frustrated because it's not happening and it's the 20th time she's mentioned something. That's on me. It's not her fault. It's on me to figure out how to deal with me. And maybe you just say, it's not important. I don't need her to understand this. For me, I haven't quite figured that out yet. I'm working on that. But if you look at that freedom from frustration, that can really take over our lives. It can shift our relationships. It can make them not that great. It can upset us and nobody else because we're the only ones feeling frustrated. We're feeling, and they feel nothing. So why do we let that happen to us? What does it help us? Well, it doesn't unless we speak up, but sometimes you speak up and nobody's going to hear you anyway. So decide what's important. What works for you? Is this going to matter in a couple weeks from now, in a month from now, or a year from now? Do I need to get frustrated over this? Is this something I should do something about? It's just something telling you those expectations I had are not coming through. I expect somebody to do something. I expect this to be easier. I expect this job to go a certain way, and it's not happening. So you get impatient and you get a little angry, and that is what frustration pretty much is. Decide, does this have value for me to be frustrated? When you start feeling frustrated, stop, breathe. Okay, why is this happening? Is this important? Does it matter in the long run? And if it's something that you're going, no, I could care less. In a year, nothing. I won't even remember this frustrated moment. If you're standing in line at a grocery store and you pick the wrong line and it takes forever, take that opportunity to text somebody or to talk to your neighbor in line. Get to joke around, try and make the time go by. I remember we have a subway. Well, it's called BART in the area in San Francisco, and I used to take it to work. And sometimes, well, what do you know? It'd be half an hour late because everything down the line would be messed up because something happened farther up the line or something, or it happened back and it stopped all the trains and I missed the last one that was going through at a good time. And so when the trains wouldn't come through, we'd stand around and we'd joke and we'd talk, or people would read. And I don't know how much they do that anymore. Now they play on their phones. But I worked at the same job for 25 years. So, and most of that time I took BART. And I'd be standing there going, great, that's 20 minutes. I should be doing something else. I'm supposed to be somewhere else. Do I get frustrated? Do I hate standing in line? I don't care for it. Standing in line, I don't care for waiting for things very much. But if you get frustrated, it's not going to do anything for you except get you frustrated. It's like getting stuck in traffic. What do? You get frustrated. You jump up and down in your car. You split people off. Can't go anywhere either. You swear. You know, do whatever you need to do, which is not helping any at all. You're just frustrated. So what do? You breathe. You say, hey, I can call somebody and let them know I'm going to be late. I can just not worry about it. Depends on what it is, and if you have to be there or not. How important is it? Just let people know. Take the breath and decide, hey, is this important in a year from now? If it's so important that it does, because it's going to change my entire life, then find a way to work that frustration out into making the thing work better. If it works for you, then all of a sudden the frustration's gone because you're going to go, how can I put this frustration into action? It's energy. It's major energy, that frustration. If you can take that frustration that feels like a big knot, right, usually below your breastbone where you're going, in your kind of your upper stomach, or maybe even in your chest, it tightens up because you feel this tightness. If you can do something with all that energy instead of letting it stay inside, I'll find a way to make something work and or shift your perspective and do something a different way, then you won't have that frustration anymore and you'll be free of it. And that makes you deep. It makes you breathe easier. It makes things and life simpler for you. This week and this month is all about freedom. Freedom of judgment, freedom of fear, freedom of guilt, and freedom from frustration. And there's a lot more of them out there that we'd like to be free of. But even starting with those 4, pretty big. Thank you for joining me here. If you like what you hear, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell notification so you know the next time that a video is posted. If you'd like to hear more, my audio podcasts, you can find just about on any podcast channel or on my website. And it's called Connect to Joy with the number 2 in the middle instead of spelled out. And that's also my website. And they're both going to be under this video. And if you'd like information on life coaching, on Marconics multidimensional energy, or on anything related to energy space clearing, by all means, go ahead and check out the website and contact me if you feel that we would be a good match for life coaching or any of the other modalities that I do. Until next week, please remember that you can have freedom from frustration and from other things that you don't want. It just takes a little bit of work, a little bit of time and effort, because you deserve it. You deserve to have this freedom from all this negative stuff and this heavy feelings that you don't want in your life, so you can have more joy.